What a beautiful morning it is too, he says. Last time I videoed, I'm sure it was just as we were finishing Belgian Vespa days back in August, and in beautiful warm sunshine. And here we are now, mid to late November, and first time I've seen snow for some time. And while I'm sat waiting for a trailer to be loaded, I thought I'd just come in with a quick catch-up. Work-wise, I've given up full-time work at the end of August and gone on to doing some agency work to give me sort of the ultimate flexibility, and it's working out pretty well. I've only worked in one place since I've started doing the agency work, and they have me in generally 2 or 3 days a week. I'm sure there's more days a week work if I want it, and hopefully over the next couple of weeks maybe we'll have our house move sorted. I can do a few extra days, in the run up to Christmas. But on our house move status, we are still waiting for a moving date. We're anticipating sometime in the next couple of weeks now. We're really hoping we can get sorted by the end of November, although that's coming around quite rapidly, so that we can get moving on into our major downsize. We're rattling around in a 3/4 empty house now. We've been on eBay, Marketplace, charity shops, runs to the tip, and our daughter's also moved out and managed to find her own place in unbelievably record time, to find a house, buy it, complete and move in about 5 weeks, which is a fair weight off our mind in some ways, because we weren't quite sure where she would end up, but she's ended up in her new house long before we have. So it just leaves us, and we're ticking along, waiting for the house move to go through, and then we can move on with the next stage of our retirement plan. So once all of our moves are complete, we're going to be in a position to start looking at our finances and where we're going to be able to manage in retirement or semi-retirement or semi-working, as a term I heard quite recently. You can't be semi-retired, you're only semi-working. I'm happy with that. And once our finances are all settled down and in place, we'll know where we are and be able to start making some calculations as to how much we've got to live off, I guess, and how much work we need to do or not to do in order to keep ticking over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at what a lot of early retirees call the 4% rule, and we'll get deeper into that, not massively deeper because I'm not a financial expert, and see how it works, what the principles are behind it, and how that can potentially work for us. I need to get back to work, so we'll catch up with that one at home. Well, hello again. A few days later, weather's improved a little, but unfortunately we've had a bit of a knockback in our house sale. A few days ago our buyers pulled out right at the last minute. We were expecting to be going within a couple of weeks, and we're back on the market. Got some early interest again, considering the time of year, so fingers crossed. Let's hope things progress quite quickly. Another thing I didn't mention in the first part of the video is Jaffa's gone. Those that know us and have seen some of the other videos, our 94 Volkswagen T4 Transporter that we've had about 8 years and had converted into a lightweight simple camper, has served its purpose and has gone away, but has been bought by my brother. So I'm keeping everything crossed it holds out for him. It's 30 years old, but I did put a fresh MOT and get some work done before I passed it on. So off to a new home and already having some use. I wanted to have a quick chat about the 4% rule. The concept basically is that if you have enough reserves, financial reserves, in theory you should be able to take 4% a year and your capital will not reduce. It's as simple as that in reality. There are complications to how it can work for individual people, because it can depend on where your capital worth is, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's all money in the bank. I was just going to touch on today and maybe expand this in a further video, but I have a couple of examples of where it's sort of proven to be correct from personal experience. Now, I'm not a financial advisor or an analyst, and this has been analysed many times over the years, and the guy who came up with the original concept apparently went back in sort of 30-year blocks for over 100 years and has proven that the concept is pretty sound. But a couple of examples that we have. First one is my mom, who sadly died, I should know this, 6 years ago. Had a savings plan. She came into some money later on in her life, and after paying a mortgage, etc., she was in a position where she could invest £100,000. But what she wanted to do was to get some income from that money. But what she did was put it into a special savings account, and she actually had a fixed sum paid to her every month, regardless of the performance of the capital. That fixed sum was £350 per calendar month, £4,200 per year, which equated to 4.2% of the capital value. Now, she had that policy for about 15 years, which is why it's such a good example. And through that 15 years, we obviously went through the stock market crash of, the financial crash of 2008-9. So, it's seen peaks and huge troughs and managed to grow again. Throughout the whole 15-year period, she drew £350 per calendar month. At the point when, in order to pay care home fees, we had to surrender the policy, or plan, whatever you want to call it, the actual sum, the balance sum in the account was almost exactly £100,000, virtually exactly the same as she put in at the very beginning. Now, there's various times through there with taking her £350 a month, and that capital balance had actually declined, and obviously presumably a couple of times, maybe even before the crash of 2008, where the capital was higher than £100,000. But over 15 years, that capital investment remained pretty much fixed. So there's a good practical working example of the 4% rule in action. Now, another similar tale, if you like, is the value of our house. I was going to say house that we've sold, but not yet. But if you take the price that we paid for this house back in 2006, good memory, 2006, of £270,000, and if you actually apply 5% per year, so £13,500 per year for the 17 and a half years that we've been here, you pretty much bang on our current asking price for the house. So again, and that's a period of 17 and a half years, we've achieved 5% net growth in the value of our property. So it's another example of where a similar application of the 4% rule is definitely comfortably working. Now, obviously, that doesn't take into account what you may have spent on your property in the meantime, mortgage payments, interest. That's just the actual residual value of the bricks and mortar. So a couple of good, strong examples of how the 4% works. Now, in order to make that work in retirement, you don't have to bundle everything, sell everything and stick it into a fixed interest or high interest savings plan, stocks, bonds, shares, anything like that. What you can do is, remember, you've got pockets here, you've got a pension here, you've got equity in your house here, you've presumably got some savings maybe, or you're lucky enough to have a bit of inheritance coming to you or already come to you. And when you pull the value of everything there, that's when you can start applying the 4% rule to your capital value, not necessarily your savings. I'll come on to that on another video, I think, because I've got a feeling that if I'm not careful, this will become a little bit long-winded and dragged out. So I'll look a bit more at some of the application of the 4% rule further down the line. But I just wanted to use this video to set where we are and what the concept of 4% is. And I know it's definitely not fail-safe. It's definitely not without its flaws, particularly if you look around market crashes, which is why you have to really stretch it out over as long a period as you can. I mean, had we had to cash Mom's policy in 2008 or 2009, you wouldn't have looked at it as being necessarily such a good investment as it was another sort of 5 or 6 years later. But I'll come on to that another time. In the meantime, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully I'll be back with some more content this side of the end of the year. If not, have a great Christmas, and we'll catch you early in the new year. Until then, cheerio.